So let's move on to the Black Lives Matter movement and the protests. So what are your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, I understand. I understand as a black man, obviously Black Lives Matter, right? As a man from born and raised in Oakland, and then have had family and friends die. I mean, I understand that Black Lives Matter. I also understand that there's a balance to this argument, though. For me, I think obviously that we have to be concerned, with the amount of shootings of unarmed black men in this country. I think that is a real issue. But then I think on the other side, right? And I've been doing this job a very long time, and I've seen so many black men lose their lives at the hands of gun violence, and so it's concerning to me that we also have to take a stance against the violence that we commit against one another. When I see young men lose their lives senselessly at the hands of other young men, it's also concerning.
So you would call yourself a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement?
No, I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say that. That is either way. I support. I mean, I understand why they feel that way. I think I'm clear that I believe that there's a two-sided argument. So I understand. I truly understand. And I would say it wouldn't be appropriate for me as a police officer to take some political stance.
So I saw a video of you during some of the protests out in Oakland, and you had a protester like right in your face. For someone who understands what they're feeling but still has to stay in the mindset of a police officer, how do you deal with those situations?
Those are really difficult situations. And so you want to have an opportunity to say to that person that I'm not who you say I am.
Yeah.
I'm not the names that you are calling me. But you know that it's coming from a place of emotion. You know that they're generalizing police officers, and so they're not really talking about me. They're talking about the uniform. Mm-hmm. And so you try to I take that into consideration, take that into mind. But it is something that's difficult, particularly when you know where you come from, you know your background, you know your history. I come from West Oakland.
Yeah.
I come from a place, built on social justice. And so, so when people talk, right, when people start screaming that to me, I'm like, I'm the last person you want to say that to. I'm not, out of touch with what's happening. And so, but I understand, like I said, it's coming from a place of emotion, and I understand the cause.
So how do you counterbalance, your duty as a police officer, but then also living as a black man in America and the stigma that comes with that? How do you balance the two stigmas, really?
Well, I think I balance the two by understanding that I have a job to do as a police officer, but also I have a responsibility to my community. And so I spend a lot of time in the city of Oakland going to organizations, community-based organizations, talking to young people, sitting down, having one-on-one conversations with people, going to schools and really going into classrooms and talking to kids in particular, and then working with also young men that have been victims of violence and that are in some really difficult situations and out there and are out in the streets, and really talking to them about the fact that I'd like to see them do something different with their lives. That I find no pleasure in people going to jail. I would much rather people make better decisions and not put themselves in that situation. If it was, up to me, and people would put down guns and not commit violence against people.
I feel like it would be difficult, like balancing being a black person in America and being a police officer. Like, has anyone tried to come at you saying, oh, you're a black man, but you're also a police officer? That doesn't make sense. Has people tried to throw the names Uncle Tom's, any of that?
They throw those all the time, right? And after I take a deep breath and not react in a way which probably wouldn't be professional, I really think about why I do this job, right? I do it because I want them to be safe. I do it because all of my friends are here, and I want them to feel that they live in a city where they know at least some of us care about them, and they're thinking about their safety when we go out there every day. And I believe that most of our police officers feel the same way, that they go out there every day to do a really good job. And it's a difficult job, particularly in this city. But, it's one that we signed up for.
When you don't put on your uniform, when you're just out and about without your uniform on, to the rest of the world, you're just a black man. No one knows what your profession is. They don't know your qualifications or any of that. So when you're out in the world just as a black man, do you ever feel like your life could be ended by another police officer? Do you feel like you'll ever face police brutality?
I don't feel like my life would be ended at the hands of a police officer because, like I said earlier, I don't believe that this is an issue that we should walk around in fear of, right? But at the same time, I think I still get a little shaky whenever the lights and sirens get behind me. So if I see a police car and they turn their lights on, I'm paranoid just like everybody else is, right? But I also know what I need to do to make that stop safe for me, right? I know that I need to comply with what the officer is asking me. I know I need to have those things that might be asked of me prepared, right? I should be able to get my driver's license, registration, whatever those things are. And so I'm confident that I know how to behave during the stop.
When you're in that situation and you're saying, you know how to behave, do you feel like you still have to take those extra precautions because you are a person of color? Do you think like maybe people who are not Black or Latino are a little bit more relaxed when they see, those sirens behind them?
I don't know. I think it's hard for me to speak for why, other people wouldn't fear. I assume, based on my doing this for a long time, everybody that I pull over is always scared, right? They're always afraid that it's the police, so they're scared. Yeah. Now, so I don't think that changes across the board. I think, some of the images that you see do affect you and make you think that something might happen when it's probably not. You do get afraid that, hey, I hope everything's okay, officer. You want to make sure that that the officer understands that here's my hands and all these things. Yeah. And I think we might overcompensate, right? We might adjust to that fear that we might have that something is there, but that's okay because the more we are obvious that we're not doing anything wrong, the less likely that something should occur.
Do you have any final thoughts, any last-minute statements you would like to share with the people, anything you would like to say to other police officers, to the young people, anything at all?
Well, I think what I always like to say is that it's so easy to criticize something from the outside looking in. That if you really want to know what something is like, then come get informed, get the information, come talk to somebody. If you could be a fair police officer that could come out into the community and be respectful and be somebody that could be a role model to others, then you should take on this challenge. This is a challenge to all people to say that it's easy to criticize something that you don't want to do. If you're really concerned about the way we do our jobs, or even some of the police officers that you see on the streets and the way they look, we are hiring, right? Yeah. We're hiring all the time.
Hopefully there'll be more like you, because I've dealt with some not amazing police officers, and I had to keep my personal composure. It was not fun. I think that about wraps it up. So thank you for coming. I
Thank you
definitely
for having me.
appreciate it. Absolutely.